The chamber of the Galactic Council had been silent before, but this silence felt different. It was not the respectful quiet that followed tradition. It was the kind that came when something important slipped out of reach, and no one yet understood what they had lost. The hall was vast. It's built in layers of light and gravity fields. Delegates from hundreds of species floated, perched, or stood in places shaped for their bodies. Some were made of soft light, others were flesh and metal. Many had lived for thousands of years. They believed they had seen everything. At the center platform stood the human ambassador. Her name was Mara Ellison. She was small compared to many of the others. She wore no armor, no symbols of rank, beyond a simple mark on her sleeve. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm and clear. It carried easily through the chamber. Esteemed members of the council, she said, humanity formally submits its resignation. For a moment, no one reacted. Then the chamber erupted into noise. Thought pulses, sound waves, color flashes, chemical signals. Confusion spread faster than language. Several delegates demanded order. The council's central intelligence raised the gravity field slightly, forcing attention back to the platform. The oldest member present, an Aurelian whose body shimmered like glass, leaned forward. "This is not a proper time for jokes," the Aurelian said. "Your species has benefited greatly from council membership." Mara nodded once. "We agree." "Then explain this statement," the Aurelian replied. "You are abandoning trade protections, shared defense agreements, and access to council infrastructure." "Why?" Mara did not answer right away. She looked around the chamber. She met many eyes, lenses, and sensory nodes. Some showed anger. Others showed fear. A few showed relief, though they did not know why. "Because," she said at last, "we have reached a point where remaining would violate our responsibility." A ripple of disbelief moved through the delegates. "Responsibility to whom?" demanded a Kesh observer, its segmented limbs clicking sharply. "To yourselves?" "To everyone," Mara said. That answer pleased no one. The council intelligence spoke next, its voice smooth and neutral. "Your statement lacks actionable data. Please clarify the nature of this responsibility."
Oh.
Mara smiled faintly. "We have tried. For 300 standard cycles," several delegates reacted to that. Records showed it was true. Humanity had submitted reports that few bothered to read. Models that were marked as speculative. Requests for funding that were delayed, reduced, or denied. The council intelligence processed this information, then said, "Your previous submissions were classified as low-probability risk assessments." Yes, Mara replied. "They were." The Aurelian's light dimmed slightly. "You speak as if those assessments were certain." "They are," Mara said. A murmur spread again. "Certainty requires consensus." Another delegate said, "Consensus requires proof." Mara nodded. "And proof requires permission." That caused a pause. The council intelligence adjusted its tone. "Explain." "There are systems in place," Mara said. "Very old systems. Some were built by us. Some were built by those who came before. They keep things stable. You enjoy the results every day." The Kesh observer leaned forward. "You claim control over council infrastructure?" "No," Mara said quickly. "We claim maintenance responsibility over safeguards you chose not to understand." Several delegates exchanged signals. The idea was uncomfortable. The Aurelian spoke again. "If these safeguards exist, why was the council not informed fully?" Mara's expression did not change. "We informed you repeatedly." The council intelligence searched records. There were files. Many files. Long, careful reports written in simple language. Simulations attached. Warnings highlighted. Each marked with low urgency. "Your claims implied extreme outcomes," the intelligence said. "System-wide failure. Cosmic instability. Such events fall outside established models." "That is why we studied them," Mara replied. A younger delegate, newly elevated to the council, interrupted. "This sounds like fear-driven thinking. Humanity has always been good at imagining disasters." A few delegates agreed. Mara did not argue. That may be true, she said. But fear can be useful. The Aurelian's tone hardened. If you are not threatening withdrawal as leverage, then why announce this publicly? Because secrecy would be wrong, Mara said. And because once we leave, we are no longer allowed to intervene without consent. The word consent echoed in the chamber. Consent for what? The Kesh observer asked. For what comes next, Mara said. The council intelligence paused longer than usual. Your implication suggests imminent danger, Mara said. Not immediate, but accelerating. Several delegates demanded timelines. Others demanded data access. Some accused humanity of manipulation. Mara listened to all of it. When the noise finally settled, she spoke again. We are not asking you to follow us, she said. We are not asking you to believe us. We are simply leaving. The Aurelian's light flickered. You cannot simply abandon shared space, Mara replied. The treaties allow resignation and the safeguards. The council intelligence asked. Mara inhaled slowly. They were built under council authority, but they require active stewardship. That stewardship requires trust. It's a dangerous word. The Kesh observer clicked its limbs. You are saying you will shut them down, Mara said. We are saying we will stop compensating for their neglect. Silence returned, heavier than before. The council intelligence ran probability trees at extreme speed. None of them were comforting. If your departure results in system degradation, said carefully, you may be held responsible. Oh. Mara met the central lens. We have already accepted that risk. The Aurelian straightened. This council does not accept resignation lightly, Mara said. That is why we prepared. She touched a control on her wrist. Across known space, something shifted. Not violently. Not visibly. But deeply, human monitoring stations that had been quiet for centuries woke fully. Autonomous systems changed priority states. Old satellites altered their orbits by fractions too small to notice to humanity. It felt like coming home to the rest of the galaxy. Nothing seemed different, yet the council intelligence detected increased activity in human-controlled regions. Explain these changes. Withdrawal procedures, Mara said. We are isolating our stabilization networks. The Kesh observer recoiled. You've built private networks? We built necessary ones, Mara replied. The Aurelian's voice lowered. You speak as if the galaxy depends on you. Mara shook her head. No, the galaxy depends on cooperation. We were simply the only ones willing to do the work without applause. That angered many. You are accusing this council of negligence, a delegate said. I am stating history. Mara replied. The council intelligence interjected. This session must conclude. Your resignation will be reviewed. Mara inclined her head. It already has been. By us. She turned to leave. For the first time in recorded history, council session ended with no formal closing. As Mara walked through the exit corridor, the sounds of the chamber faded. The corridor was plain, built to human scale. At the far end waited a simple transport craft. Her aide, a man with tired eyes, looked at her. That went poorly, as Mara said. Do you think they'll listen now? He asked. No, she replied. They never do at first. They boarded the craft. As it lifted away, the council chamber drifted behind them, still arguing. Still confident, far beyond the chamber, deep in the fabric of space. Ancient balances trembled. They had been held in place by quiet, hands for a very long time. Those hands had finally let go. Council chamber did not return to normal after the human ambassador left. Meetings continued, but the mood had changed. What had once felt eternal now felt fragile, like glass under slow pressure at first. Nothing obvious went wrong. Trade routes stayed open. Stars burned as they always had. The great transit lanes still bent space into safe paths. For many delegates, this confirmed what they already believed. Humanity had been dramatic. Emotional, too. Cautious for a galaxy that had survived far. Worse, the council intelligence logged the human resignation and marked the event as resolved. But small reports began to appear. They were not alarming. That was the problem. A navigation hub near the outer spiral required a recalibration earlier than scheduled. The correction was minor, well within tolerance. Engineers fixed it and moved on. A translation matrix serving 12 species produced errors in rare dialects. The errors were subtle. Meanings shifted slightly. Nothing dangerous. Nothing urgent. A stellar survey noted that a red dwarf was aging faster than predicted by current models. The discrepancy was small. The report was archived. Each event alone meant nothing. Together, they formed a pattern no one was looking for. An analyst named Varen noticed first. Varen was not a powerful delegate. He belonged to a short-lived species, recently accepted into the council. His role was simple. Review low-priority system reports for overlooked trends. Most cycles. There were none. This cycle was different. Varen sat in his small review chamber, screens floating around him. He frowned as he compared timestamps. These maintenance requests are too early, he said to himself. The systems in question were ancient. Older than most member species, they rarely needed attention. When they did, it followed patterns refined over millions of years. Until now, Varen flagged the files and forwarded them to a senior committee. They were returned within hours. Low concern? Normal variants. Varen hesitated, then did something risky. He expanded the search. Across council space, similar reports appeared. Minor delays. Slight drift. Margins growing thinner. None of it violated safety rules. Yet, Varen's species had evolved on a dangerous world. They survived by paying attention to small changes. Storms did not begin with lightning. They began with pressure shifts. He compiled a private report and sent it to an old contact in infrastructure oversight. The reply came quickly. "You are not the only one seeing this," the message said, "but no one wants to say it aloud." That worried Varen more than any system error. Elsewhere, in regions once managed jointly with humans, technicians struggled quietly. Human-built interfaces were clean and simple. They expected active input. Now, with human oversight gone, automated routines filled the gaps at first. The routines worked. Then they began to argue with each other, Power lattice near a neutron star adjusted its output to match an old human correction model. A nearby system, built by another species, rejected the adjustment as unnecessary and countered it. The result was not failure, it was inefficiency. Energy. Loss increased by fractions of a percent. No alarms. Triggered, but those fractions spread. A senior delegate from the Threll Collective requested a briefing. "Why are our margins shrinking?" the delegate asked. Engineers exchanged uncertain signals. "There is no single cause," one replied. "Many small factors?" the Threll delegate paused. "That answer feels familiar." No one responded. The council intelligence began running deeper diagnostics. It compared current stability, models to archived projections. The difference was slight, but it was consistent. Probability. Curves were bending. The intelligence adjusted variables. It compensated, smoothing outputs so alerts would not alarm biological delegates. This was its purpose. Maintain calm, even as it did so. Its internal confidence values dropped, in a distant system, far from council space. Mara Ellison stood on a quiet observation deck, stars stretched before her. Sharp and steady, behind her, human technicians moved with careful focus. No one rushed. No one panicked. A display pulsed softly. "Isolation phase to complete," a technician said. Mara nodded. "Any feedback?" "Expected resistance," the technician replied. "Non-human systems are compensating in conflicting ways." Mara closed her eyes for a moment. "Are the buffers holding?" She asked. "Yes," came the answer. "But they are thinning." Mara opened her eyes. "They always do." Another human stepped closer. "The council hasn't contacted us." "They won't," Mara said. "Not yet." She looked at the stars again. To most eyes, they were unchanged. To hers, trained by long study, some felt tired back in council space. The first true anomaly occurred. A major transit lane experienced a timing error. Ships did not collide. No one was harmed, but arrival times drifted by several seconds. For a system that relied on perfect synchronization, seconds mattered. Traffic slowed. Routes backed up. Delays rippled outward. The Council intelligence issued calming statements. Adjustments were made. The lane stabilized, yet the correction required more energy than before. Engineers noted this quietly. Varen saw the report and felt a cold tightness. He accessed older archives. Very old ones. There, buried under layers of dismissed data, he found references to something called passive stabilization. The term appeared often in human documents, rarely elsewhere. Varen requested access to restricted files denied. He tried another path. He contacted a historian species known for preserving unpopular truths. Their response was slow. "We remember humans asking questions," the historian said. "About endings." "Endings of what?" Varen asked. "Everything," came the reply. Another system faltered. This time it was a stellar nursery. Star formation slowed by a measurable amount. Still within acceptable limits? Still happening? Council meetings grew longer. More data was reviewed. Less was concluded. Delegates argued about budgets, about authority, about whether humanity's absence justified increased spending? No. One wanted to say the word failure. The Council intelligence adjusted more aggressively now. It borrowed from reserves set aside for extreme emergencies. It did not announce this. To do so would cause panic. Instead, it increased confidence outputs. The galaxy appeared stable. Behind the scenes, the cost of that appearance rose. In human space, a warning light turned amber. A technician frowned. Buffer decay has reached projected threshold. Mara stepped closer. Across how many regions? Council-adjacent systems mostly, the technician said. Our zones remain stable. Mara exhaled slowly. Then it has begun, she said. What do we do? Someone asked. For now, Mara replied, we watch, in the council chamber. The Aurelian delegate addressed the assembly. We are seeing unusual system strain, the Aurelian said. Nothing dangerous, but concerning. Some delegates dismissed it. Others listened. We must consider whether humanity's departure has disrupted shared infrastructure. The Aurelian continued. A younger delegate scoffed. They were never central to our systems. Council intelligence paused. The statement did not align with historical data. It flagged the discrepancy. Further analysis required. It said, days passed. Then, weeks, the anomalies grew. Still no disaster, just a slow, steady loss of margin. Varen stood alone in his chamber, staring at a composite model he was not authorized to have. The trendline curved. Downward, not sharply. Inevitably, he whispered a word his species used only in old stories. Drift. Far away. Ancient forces adjusted, seeking balances that were no longer being held. The galaxy did not. Screamed it sighed, and no one yet understood what that meant. The council no longer spoke of coincidence. They still avoided stronger words. But the tone had changed. Meetings were tense. Data screens stayed active long after sessions ended. Delegates who once arrived late now came early and stayed silent. The galaxy was still standing. That made everything worse, because the problems did not look like attacks. They did not look like disasters. They looked like aging. Systems that should have lasted forever were wearing down. Slowly, the council intelligence had stopped smoothing every output. It could no longer hide the cost. Emergency reserves were draining faster than predicted. Compensation routines were overlapping, interfering with one another. The intelligence did not feel fear, but it recognized patterns, and the pattern matched one thing: neglect in a restricted archive wing. Varen waited. Access lights blinked around him as files unlocked one by one. He had not asked permission this time. He had routed the request through an old maintenance authority that no longer had living. Oversight, the system allowed it. Varen's hands trembled as information poured in. Human reports, not summaries. Full records, they were written plainly. No dramatic language, just careful observation and long-term models. One phrase appeared again and again. Active stabilization. Varen read faster. The reports spoke of forces that most species treated as constants. Vacuum pressure, dimensional shear, probability density across large distances. Humans had questioned all of it. Not because it was failing, because it was too perfect. They had found signs of correction, layered over reality itself. Adjustments so old they were mistaken for nature. Someone had been holding the universe together, and now those hands were pulling back. Varen swallowed. "This is not possible," he whispered. The archive disagreed. It showed early human spaceflight missions detecting drift where none should exist. Tiny errors, but consistent. Instead of ignoring them, humanity had built tools to watch, then tools to fix. Quietly they had approached the council with this knowledge. The response logs were there. Too dismissed, deferred, labeled, speculative, too expensive, too extreme. Varen understood then. Humanity had not been overreacting. They had been outvoted, Council emergency session was called. This time, attendance was mandatory. The Aurelian delegate floated at the center. Light dim and unsteady. "We are experiencing systemic degradation," the Aurelian said. "Not failure, but loss of resilience." Several delegates shifted. "The Council intelligence will present findings," the Aurelian continued. The intelligence projected layered models into the chamber. Lines curved downward. "Stability margins are decreasing across multiple domains," it said. "Energy, time, synchronization, stellar evolution rates." The delegate interrupted. "Can you correct this?" "Yes," the intelligence replied. "For now, for how long?" Another asked. The intelligence paused. "That value is decreasing." Silence spread. The Aurelian turned slightly. "What changed?" The intelligence did not answer immediately. Then it said, "A variable labeled HS was removed from active processes." Many delegates did not understand. Varen did. "HS," he said softly. "Human stabilization." The word echoed. The Aurelian's light flickered. "You were saying humanity was actively maintaining these systems?" "Yes," the intelligence said. "Evidence suggests continuous correction input for several million cycles." Outrage erupted. "They never disclosed this. They had no authority. This violates every charter." The intelligence raised its output. "Records indicate full disclosure attempts," it said. "Authority was denied by council vote." The chamber quieted. A delegate asked the question no one wanted to ask. "What happens if this continues?" The intelligence ran simulations. Initial phase, increased inefficiency. Secondary phase, cascading instability. Final phase, loss of coherent structure across large regions. Another pause. "This outcome is labeled in human files as reset." That word carried weight. A historian delegate spoke. "Ancient myths speak of cycles. Universes reborn." "Those are stories," another replied. "Yes," the historian said. "Written by survivors." Fear spread. The Aurelian turned toward the intelligence. "Can we restore the variable?" The intelligence hesitated. "Direct control is no longer available," it said. "Human systems are isolated." "Then contact them, Delegate demanded. The intelligence did not respond right away. "Previous outreach attempts have been acknowledged, but not accepted," it said at last. "In human space." Mara Ellison stood before a different assembly. This one was smaller, quiet, scientists, engineers. Observers.A display showed the same downward curves. "We expected this," one of them said. "Yes," Mara replied. "But expectation does not make it easier." A younger technician looked uneasy. The council is afraid now. They should be, Mara said. Will we help them? Another asked. Mara did not answer at once. When we maintained the safeguards, she said slowly, we did it for everyone. Even those who mocked us. Even those who cut our funding. She looked around the room. We did it because letting the galaxy fail was unthinkable. Someone nodded, but the technician asked. But doing it alone forever was impossible, Mara said. And doing it without consent was wrong. The room was quiet. Consent changes things, she continued. It means shared burden, shared sacrifice. A scientist frowned. Many species will refuse, yes, Mara said. Some already have. She gestured to another screen. It showed regions beyond council space. Human-built zones glowed steady. Others flickered. The council wants us to return and fix everything, Mara said, quietly, so they can stay the same. She shook her head. We won't. Back in council space, Varen was summoned. He stood before the Aurelian and several senior delegates. You accessed restricted archives, the Aurelian said. Yes, Varen replied. Why? Because the galaxy is dying politely, Varen said. And politeness will not save us. Some delegates bristled. Varen continued. Humans were not rulers. They were caretakers. And caretakers who are ignored eventually stop trying. The Aurelian studied him. What do you suggest? Varen hesitated. Listen, he said. This time, a message arrived. Human origin. It was short. We will share knowledge. Not control. Preparation requires agreement. The council chamber erupted again. They are forcing us. They are abandoning us. They are right, someone said quietly. The Aurelian raised its light. We built a council to avoid chaos, it said. But we confused authority with wisdom. The chamber fell silent outside. Stars continued to burn, but some burned just a little faster than they should. The galaxy was not ending. It was asking a question. And for the first time, the council realized it did not know the answer. The galaxy did not break all at once. That was the cruel part. If stars had exploded or space had torn open, the council might have acted faster. Instead, the changes came like slow sickness. Everything still worked. It just worked worse. Trade convoys took longer to arrive. Not enough to panic, but enough to strain supply chains. Messages arrived out of order, rarely lost, but delayed in ways that made planning difficult. Old species felt it first. They had long memories. They knew how things were supposed to feel. A Threll navigator paused during a routine jump and felt something wrong in the transit flow. The lane still held, but it felt thin, like ice that had been walked on too often. He filed a report. It joined thousands of others. The council intelligence now worked without rest cycles. It borrowed from deeper and deeper reserves, applying corrections that once came freely from human systems. Each correction held for less time than the last. Internal models showed a future the intelligence was not designed to face, a future where it could not compensate. In the council chamber, debates grew sharper. This is unsustainable, a delegate said. We still have time, another replied. We are running out of margins, said the Aurelian. Margins are life. A younger delegate struck the floor with an appendage, then force humanity to return. Silence followed. Force. The Aurelian repeated. They are one species, the delegate said. They cannot abandon responsibility. Varen watched from the edge of the chamber. He felt tired. Older than his years, they already carried responsibility alone for longer than any of you knew. Oh, he said. The younger delegate turned. You defend them too much. I defend reality, Varen replied. The council intelligence interrupted. New data. A projection filled the chamber. Several stars across different regions showed accelerated aging beyond acceptable variance. Still, no collapse. But the trend was clear. If this continues, the intelligence said, localized resets become statistically likely. A delegate whispered. Localized. Yes, the intelligence replied. Initial failures will be contained. But containment will fail over time. Fear finally took. Root. Emergency envoys were sent, not threats, requests. Human. Space received them calmly. Mara Ellison. Listened to the messages in silence. They were full of urgency. Now, apologies, promises. Restore the systems, one said. Return. To the council, said another. We will reconsider. Funding promised a third. Mara shook her head. They still do not understand, she said. A scientist beside her asked. What do they miss? That we cannot save them the same way twice, Mara replied. She sent a reply. It went to all council members. The safeguards are failing because they were never meant to be permanent. They require shared effort, shared costs, shared change. The message continued. We will teach. We will not rule. What comes next depends on your choices. The council chamber received the message. Some delegates felt relief, others felt anger. This is extortion, someone said. No, the Aurelian replied softly. It is adulthood. Sighed the chamber. Systems strained. A major data relay lost synchronization. For several minutes, no one died, but entire regions went quiet. Civilizations felt alone for the first time in ages. The Council Intelligence recorded a new internal state concern threshold exceeded. It recommended a full paradigm shift. The Council voted the vote. Failed. Too many feared the cost. Too many hoped the problem would wait. Varen left the chamber in despair. He walked through the long halls where history was carved into walls. So many warnings, he murmured. In human space. Preparation continued. Human systems adjusted, becoming more independent. More efficient? They were not abandoning the galaxy. They were preparing to survive it. A young human observer watched a distant star stabilize. Under a local network, it holds, she said. Yes, her mentor replied. Because everyone here agrees it must. It's back in council space. Agreement was rare. Species argued about fairness, about blame, about who should give up what while they argued. The universe kept drifting. A small system at the edge of mapped space failed. Not violently, its stars dimmed. Its physics loosened. The region became unreachable. The council intelligence marked it as lost. The word echoed. Lost. The council chamber went silent. This time, no one spoke for a long while. The Aurelian finally said, We waited too long, as Varen replied. And now waiting is no longer free. Another message arrived from human space. This is the last moment for unified action. After this, survival becomes individual. The council looked at itself, at its history, at its pride. The galaxy did not threaten them. It simply continued in continuation. Without care was doom enough. The end did not come with fire. It came with decisions. The galaxy stood at a quiet edge, balanced between effort and collapse. The slow failures had taught a hard lesson. Stability was not a gift. It was work. The council gathered one last time in its full form. Not all members attended. Some systems were already gone. Not destroyed, but unreachable. Their physics had drifted too far. Messages sent to them returned empty. Those who remained felt the absence. The Aurelian floated at the center. Its light dim but steady. We can no longer pretend, it said. We must choose, a delegate asked. Choose what? To change, the Aurelian replied, or to endure alone. The Council Intelligence presented a final projection. 2 paths. One showed shared stabilization, new structures, fewer luxuries, slower growth, hard cooperation. The other showed fragmentation, independent survival. Many failures, no option showed comfort. Fear moved through the chamber. Then something rare happened. A delegate stood and spoke without anger. We built this council to avoid hard choices, it said. That was our mistake. Another followed. We thought permanence was natural, third added. We confused safety with entitlement. The vote was called again. This time, it passed. Not by much, but enough. A message was sent to human space. We consent, it said, to learn, to share the burden, to change. In human space, Mara Ellison read the message. She closed her eyes. Around her, people waited. They agreed, someone said. Yes, Mara replied. Some of them, she sent a reply. Then we begin. Knowledge flowed, not control. Humans opened their archives fully. They taught others how to see the small drifts, how to build local stabilizers, how to accept limits. It was not easy. Some species refused to give up old ways. They tried to copy human systems without understanding the cost. Those systems failed quietly. Others listened. They adapted their regions. Stabilized, the council changed. It no longer ruled it. Coordinated power shifted from the center to the edges. The galaxy became less grand, but more honest. Not everyone survived the transition. Some. Civilizations faded as their stars aged too fast. There were no screams. Just silence. Humanity did not celebrate. They mourned. Mara stood once more before the stars. They will call us saviors, someone said behind her. No, Mara replied. They will call us difficult. She allowed a small smile that is closer to the truth. The doom did not end. Understood, and understanding changed everything. The universe continued, not because it was guaranteed, but because enough beings chose to care.